Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special Wrestlemania edition of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast, the podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. I'm your host, Robert Red, and today we're going to be discussing if closing night one of WrestleMania should be considered main eventing. We'll give our top 5 picks of people who we think should be in the Hall of Fame, and we'll give our predictions for Wrestlemania Sunday. Today, I'm going to be joined by my guest, Kevin. How you doing today, Kevin?
Hey, Robert, it is a pleasure to be here. You know what? I am bursting out the seams, and it's not just because I'm obese. It's because I'm excited that it's WrestleMania weekend.
Well, I'm excited too. And if you're excited, if you like today's episode, go subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or our YouTube channel. Also, please leave us a comment below this episode of the podcast and vote in our polls. We'd love to hear your feedback about the podcast episode. So, Kevin, we're going to be discussing if closing night one of WrestleMania should be considered main eventing. But before we get into that, what's your excitement level for WrestleMania this weekend? At the time of this recording, we are only one day away. We've got SmackDown tonight. Tomorrow night is WrestleMania Saturday, which I discussed on the previous podcast with Chris. And we're going to be discussing WrestleMania Sunday matches here at the last segment. So, just how excited are you for WrestleMania?
I am super excited. It's a pleasure to be here on the podcast today. And overall, and I'm sure we'll discuss it, especially with night 2 card predictions. But overall, both nights, every single match I'm looking forward to. It's not one match that I consider a bathroom break. I'm excited to watch every single match on both nights. I think we're going to be, entertained both nights, and I'm hearing about some surprises. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not even reading anything. I'm not getting on social media. I don't want to be. I don't want to ruin anything for myself or anybody else. So, and even if there's not surprises, I'm just looking forward to having a good time. It's WrestleMania. Comes once a year, like Santa Claus, and we're ready. We are ready.
Well, if you're ready, then let's get ready to talk about our first segment. And we're talking about night 2 matches, like I said later, but for this topic of discussion for our first segment is, should closing out night 1 of WrestleMania be considered main eventing? Because that's been a big talking point of the main event, or what's the last match on the card for night 1, WrestleMania Saturday, with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. And this is CM Punk's first time main eventing WrestleMania. So what's your thoughts on that? Do you think it should be considered main eventing closing out night 1 of WrestleMania? Because this is the new trend of WrestleMania to where it is now 2 nights.
Great question, Robert. And that's why your podcast is so great, because you ask the great questions. I'm going to give you a great answer, at least my opinion anyway. Okay, let's face it. When we look back in time, 5-10 years from now, when we think about a main event of WrestleMania, I guarantee you we're all going to be thinking of night 2. So I'm okay with saying it's a main event of night 1, but if you notice, the last few years, they'll say main event, WrestleMania Saturday. They've kind of cut that back this year and just said the main event. I personally think it's just to cater to CM Punk, to calm him down, to finally, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. Maybe he does. I know there's a lot more CM Punk fans than I am. I could take him or leave it. It's just either way. But I think they're doing it just to cater to him, to say that he's finally made it to the main event. That's my personal opinion. So whether or not it should be the main event or not, like I said, I guarantee you, when we look 5 years down the road, when we look back at this WrestleMania, we'll take it, since we're talking about this WrestleMania 41, we're going to think of John Cena and Cody Rhodes. We're not going to think about, and I'm not taking anything away. I am so looking forward to the triple threat match. And quite frankly, it could have main evented night 2. The story is great with CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. But that's my personal opinion. I'm okay with calling it a main event, but we're always going to think it's just night 1.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I am very happy for CM Punk getting to close out one night of WrestleMania, because that was a big sticking point of his first run in WWE, is him wanting to main event WrestleMania. And that's been a big part of the story. Now, of him getting to finally main event a WrestleMania. Now, I'm not hating on CM Punk. CM Punk's my guy. Like WrestleMania 29, I have a picture on my Facebook, which we'll plug at the end, of me kind of dressing up like CM Punk. CM Punk has kind of been my guy because I guess I could associate with him. When he first came into WWE and to ECW, he said he didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't do drugs. He was straight edge. And I'm very much like that. So I felt like I could relate to CM Punk. And I've loved CM Punk throughout the years. Now, has he always been perfect? No. But that's not the topic of this podcast. So to really answer the question and hammer home, no, I don't think Night 1 should be considered main eventing WrestleMania. And when I was really thinking about this, there's two factors that come into play to what you can consider main eventing a wrestling show or WrestleMania. It comes down to the name of the show and location. For WrestleMania, when I was really thinking about this and kind of trying to formulate an answer for the question, it kind of took me back to a stage play and a drama. With WrestleMania being 2 nights, WrestleMania Saturday to me is kind of like Act 1. WrestleMania Sunday is Act 2. So the end of the play is really Act 2. That really, to me, is considered main eventing WrestleMania.
I concur.
Not closing out Night 1 being considered WrestleMania. And to go with, like I said, the factors that I use to decide what you would consider a main event or not, with it being location and the name of the show, is you're in the same location for WrestleMania. Night 1, Night 2. Same place. They're going to air at the same time on their respective days. It's going to be, at least for us in Central Standard Time, that's where we are. Is going to be 6 o'clock Saturday night, Sunday, 6 o'clock. So it's the same time, same place. So that's why, and going back to the analogy of it being like a theater or a drama production, and Night 1 is just the first part of the story. Night 2 is the rest of the story. So you're really continuing the story and you're in the same location. Now, whereas I can consider that different is since we're talking about WrestleMania week, back in the day when you would have like WrestleMania on a Sunday, you'd have Raw on a Monday, and then when they were doing SmackDown on a Tuesday, it was all in the same location. But the name of the show was different. So if you, like, say you closed out on Raw on Monday, I could say you really truly did main event WrestleMania. So that's where I would be okay with you saying you main evented a show because the show name is different. With this year, it's WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. It's still the same show name and you're in the same location. So that's where I have the problem with CM Punk saying that he's main evented WrestleMania. And that's not to take away, like I said, that he's not deserving of it. And it's not to take away from other people who are deserving of it. Like, as much as I hate on Bianca Belair, her and Sasha had a good match that year in closing out 9-1 when them saying they main evented WrestleMania, which that's not, to me, truly a main event, but good match. And then obviously we can look back at Sammy and KO, the tag titles against the Usos. Great match, but in closing out 9-1, but not, to me, it's not a main event. It's when you think back at the respective shows, like you said, we're probably going to be thinking about John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. We're not going to, we'll probably remember the Roman, Seth, and Roman, Seth, and CM Punk match, there versus, not maybe as much as the Cody and John Cena match, but I think we will definitely remember that.
To touch on that real fast, Robert, just like what you said, I believe it was on SmackDown recently when maybe it was Randy Orton talking to Kevin Owens, and I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan, not to discredit him by any means, but I believe it was Randy Orton said Kevin Owens had main evented WrestleMania 2 or 3 times, and I had to stop and think, wait a minute, what? Okay, Steve Austin and KO, and then KO, Sami Zayn, and the tag match. I had to stop and think about, wait a minute, Kevin Owens hadn't been in the main event, and then, Night 1. So, case in point, Robert, right there. You when you think back, you think, wait at Night 1. And that's not discrediting anybody. That's not making it lower. But it's like you said, we're going to think back at WrestleManias. We're going to think of Night 2. Night 2, usually, at least in the last few years, has been the better card. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real fast. We're going to think of Night 2 as the main event.
Yeah, so just to definitively answer the question, no, I don't think main eventing Night 1 should be considered main eventing. But with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our top 5 Hall of Famers that should be in the Hall of Fame right after this. Are you a pro wrestling fan that likes to be informed or entertained? Then I have the podcast for you. I'm Robert Red, and I'm the host of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. The Power of Pro Wrestling podcast is the podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans. Join myself and my guests weekly as we discuss, list, and predict pro wrestling topics. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever else you listen to your favorite podcast. Check us out today. Welcome back to the show. Brace yourselves. It's now time for our top 5. With the Hall of Fame this week, we'll be counting down our picks from who should be in the Hall of Fame from 5 to 1, starting with number 5. Okay, Kevin, what's your number 5 pick for the person who should be in the Hall of Fame?
All right. Before I get to number 5 real fast, I think Lita and Hillbilly Jim are still giving their Hall of Fame speech, by the way, and Mr. T's talking about his mama. But anyway, I am going to go with my number 5 pick, Robert. Some of your listeners, if they're young, they're not going to understand why I picked this person and who it is. But Cyndi Lauper, she is not in the Hall of Fame. I think she deserves it. Last year would have been the perfect opportunity because the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. Let's go back to 1985, the Rock and Wrestling connection with Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Cyndi Lauper, MTV, that connection. She deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And we can still, going forward, I think she can still be in the Hall of Fame. Last year would have been perfect for it. My pick is Cyndi Lauper. And if anybody listening has no idea who that is, Google it.
Well, girls just want to have fun, Kevin.
That's right.
Good pick. Maybe you'll see her later on my list. So you'll have to just listen and find out. Some people I would love to put on the list, but I felt were too controversial to put on the list. We're not going to see Owen Hart. So I would love to put Owen Hart. He would have probably been number 1 because I share a birthday with him. And I'm like, I feel he's the most deserving probably at this point. Who's not in the Hall of Fame other than maybe someone else on my list. Chris Benoit. I know that's a name we don't like to utter here in the IWC or the wrestling world just because of what he did, allegedly or not allegedly. So that's a name we're not going to be able to put on the list. And Vince McMahon, another obvious pick. He would have probably been a number 1 or number 2 list, but with the ongoing investigation with him right now, unless things change, I don't think we're going to see him in the Hall of Fame ever or for a while. But my pick for number 5, I'm going to throw back to you, and I'm going to pick the tag team of Demolition. So the reason I feel they need to go in the Hall of Fame is at one time, until the record was beaten by the New Day, which was beaten then later by the Usos, were the longest reigning tag team champions. So that's why I feel they are long overdue for an induction into the Hall of Fame, just for the simple fact of them being the longest reigning tag team champions up until maybe I think the record was up until about 10 years ago, maybe when New Day broke it. And then the Usos broke it here recently when they were the unified tag champs. And because I think they started SmackDown champs, then they unified with the Raw champs, so their reign continued as SmackDown champs. So that's why I had to put them on my list as number 5, just for the simple fact of Demolition being the longest reigning tag champs. So they're my number 5. Number 4. Okay, Big Kev, number 4.
All right, number 4. I'm going to go with Sid Vicious. Sid Justice, Psycho Sid. Unfortunately, he passed away this last year, and it's always sad to wish somebody was in the Hall of Fame and them not be in the Hall of Fame yet and get to hear their speech. Case in point, Macho Man Randy Savage. That's one speech we absolutely deserved and never got, and it's sad. And I think Sid Vicious is one other person that I think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And it is softball season. R.I.P. Sid Vicious. So, yeah. That's my pick for number 4.
Yeah, and he would probably love right now what's happening because we're both fans of Buc-ee's, and one's going in his hometown of West Memphis, which is not too far from where we're from. So that's a great pick for number 4. I nearly put him on my list at number 4, but I'll let you guess who might be my number 4 pick.
I have no idea. Hornswoggle.
Yeah, Hornswoggle. No. Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, okay.
So when you said her name at number 5 and we were discussing before the show, I hope we don't have anybody the same. Well, unfortunately, we're matching already. It's just not at the same spot. So Cyndi Lauper is my number 4. And for the reasons, she was a big part of the Rock and Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'll clue in people now if they want to listen a little bit longer in the episode from yours. And she was very important to the Rock and Wrestling Hall of Fame. She accompanied, I forget, was it Wendy Richter or Leilani Kai, because I think that was the first WrestleMania match. She accompanied one to the ring, and the person she accompanied won the women's title at the first WrestleMania. So just for her impact on the wrestling business, the Rock and Wrestling Connection back in the 80s when both of us were kind of around. Well, WrestleMania 1 was slightly before me. It was just maybe a few months before me. But just her impact in the Rock and Wrestling Connection, I feel she does deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. So that's why I had to rank her at number 4.
Number 3.
Okay, Big Kev, we're getting to it. Who's your number 3 pick?
Number 3. I need a little arrogant sprayed in here to make it smell better. Rick the Model Martel, one of the most underrated talents in the wrestling business. I think it's long overdue. He wasn't necessarily my favorite wrestler growing up, but I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm kind of shocked that he's not. I don't know if there's more to it why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. Maybe they're saving it for if they have another WrestleMania in Canada. I don't know. But I think that is my number 3 pick, Rick the Model Martel.
Okay, good pick. I didn't actually have him on my list. I never really thought about him, but that is a good pick. My number 3 is actually going to be interesting. Now, when we think of the mid to late 90s and we think the Monday Night War, we think Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff. Now, hopefully you see where I'm going here, because we think Eric Bischoff, and he is more the face of the Monday Night War, but had it not been for my number 3 pick, it would have never happened. Ted Turner. And the reason why I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame is just his impact on the wrestling business of a really prior to the Monday Night Wars, like the Jim Crockett promotion and turning it into WCW, which I may have my facts wrong, and I'm sure when Chris, my host from last episode, hears this, he'll probably correct me on air, or off air. But just him being instrumental into the transition from Crockett to World Championship Wrestling, and him giving Eric Bischoff the time slot he did in 95 to start Nitro and then start the Monday Night War. I feel that he belongs in the Hall of Fame for that simple fact alone, and just the impact he had for the second resurgence, because I talked about Whopper at number 4, how she was really the first resurgence of wrestling in the 80s. So him being the second resurgence in the 90s and being so pivotal, kind of almost in, I don't want to say a promoter's role, but like they have done a lot of promoters are in the Hall of Fame. So that's why I felt I could pick him on my list and put him in the Hall of Fame, because I do feel he is well-deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. So I had to put Ted Turner at my number 3 pick.
Number 2.
Okay, Big Kev, number 2.
Number 2. I mentioned Macho Man Randy Savage just a few moments ago, and it's unfortunate that we never got to hear that speech from him. But the tie-in with Macho Man, my number 2 pick is Miss Elizabeth. Unfortunately, we won't get to hear her speech either because of her untimely passing years ago, but I think she is well-deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Whether you want to call her a manager or a valet, from Macho Man Randy Savage, and, a lot of people forget in the NWO, she was very seen in NWO era in WCW, but my pick for number 2 is Miss Elizabeth.
Good pick, Kevin. Apparently, you looked at my list more than you thought, because my number 2 pick is Miss Elizabeth. So we did match. We've matched with a few people on here, and this entry we've matched. So, just to echo back what you said about Miss Elizabeth and why she belongs in the Hall of Fame, just her impact and like her role as manager of LA for Macho Man Randy Savage, and not only that, but Four Horsemen. You got to remember the association with Ric Flair before she went into the NWO, because that, I think, if I remember correctly, that's what helped bring Macho Man at the end of the NWO was Miss Elizabeth. And I feel this is a more likely induction now, because like for the longest time, I don't remember the reason, and it didn't seem like she could get in. Now with the induction of Lex Luger this year, because him being linked with Elizabeth at like the end of her life and stuff, I think is what's been so long for him getting in the Hall of Fame. So with him getting in the Hall of Fame this year, I feel now maybe we could get more likely induction of Miss Elizabeth into the Hall of Fame. So that's why I had to put her as my number 2 pick of people who should get in the Hall of Fame, because it's Miss Elizabeth. She belongs in the Hall of Fame. I don't think anyone's going to hate on her being in the Hall of Fame. So number 2, Miss Elizabeth.
Number 1.
Okay, we're here at it, Kev. Who do you pick as the most deserving person to go in the Hall of Fame that's not in the Hall of Fame?
Numero uno, number one. Okay, Robert, I'm a little torn on this one because I have a tie. But I'm going to go ahead and go with my number one and give the second person I'm going to mention credit as well. I'm going to go ahead with my number one and say The Rock. The Rock deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, some people will say, but he's still active. Rey Mysterio he's full-time and still active, and he's in the Hall of Fame. The Rock will give one of the greatest speeches of all time whenever the time comes. I think he's well-deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. There's probably two people, John Cena being one, and then The Rock are two that I look forward to one day, their speeches. Undertaker's lasted like an hour. They deserve like an hour alone. As a matter of fact, they could just have the Hall of Fame, their whole night just be them. But I think I'm going to go ahead and say The Rock. But let me go ahead and say who I almost said for number one, Ken Shamrock. That is someone that, he wasn't a long-lasting WWE superstar, but he made an impact in the Attitude Era. He was the first guy, as far as I know, went from UFC into pro wrestling, at least mainstream wrestler. And he made an impact in the Attitude Era. And I think there may be still some heat between him and Triple H. Why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, I don't know. But that was my close number one, but I still say The Rock.
Okay, good pick, Kevin. Do you want to know what my number one pick is?
Great call.
It doesn't matter what my number one pick is.
Oh.
Because you know what my number one pick is?
Who?
It's The Rock.
Really?
So we literally have matched on like a few of them. So maybe we did look at each other's notes, although we didn't.
Great minds think alike, folks.
Unfortunately, you don't have one. I'm just teasing. If you didn't have a great mind, I wouldn't have had you on the podcast, but I had to pick Rock because I do feel he is deserving to go in the Hall of Fame. He is part of the TKO board. And I mean, granted, his career was not as long in wrestling as his counterpart Stone Cold, but you have Stone Cold in the Hall of Fame, you've got to have Rock, because if you think Stone Cold, you have to think Rock. I mean, Vince McMahon, there's number one, but I mean, it not been for The Rock as well, I don't think Stone Cold would have been as popular. So, I mean, with Stone Cold being in the Hall of Fame, you got to put The Rock in the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, like you said, I would have put John Cena on this list. I came very close to putting him or Randy Orton on there because I think both are well-deserving, but with them still kind of being active at the end of their career, if I revisited this topic in a couple years, I'd definitely say them, or would have said them. And I think maybe here in the next few years, we'll see John Cena get into the Hall of Fame just because he says this is his final run. So I really think we will see him in the Hall of Fame. But I had to pick The Rock because I feel he is the biggest injustice of not being in the Hall of Fame is The Rock. So I had to put him as my number one pick for the person who should be in the Hall of Fame. But don't go anywhere, guys, because I'm sure the next segment is what you've been waiting for. So don't go anywhere. We're going to give our WrestleMania Sunday predictions right after this. Are you a pro wrestling fan that likes to be informed or entertained? Then I have the podcast for you. I'm Robert Red, and I'm the host of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. The Power of Pro Wrestling podcast is the podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans. Join myself and my guests weekly as we discuss, list, and predict pro wrestling topics. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever else you listen to your favorite podcast. Check us out today. Welcome back. It's now time to give our predictions for the WrestleMania Sunday matches, starting with, okay, Kevin, we're going to start with AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. So what's your thoughts on this match and who you think's going to win?
Robert, I got to say that this match right here, in my opinion, may steal the show. Maybe not storyline-wise, but if as long as these two pull it off like I think they will, I think it's going to be match of the night. What we'll be talking about, well, maybe not the story that we'll be talking about, but it's going to be definitely the match of the night. They're going to steal the show. Both are, to quote AJ Styles, phenomenal. I personally will say that I used to not be able to stand Logan Paul. I don't like to say hate, but I could not stand him. But he makes the perfect bad guy because he's so easy to quote unquote hate. But he is an incredible wrestler. I know a lot of people hate on him because he didn't pay his dues, didn't come up from the independent scene. I get that. I really do. But sometimes, like a Goldberg, for example, when someone's got the talent, you can't deny that. So I think this is going to be a great match. My opinion, match of the night. And I'm going to go with AJ Styles.
Okay, good pick. I think I'm going to pick Styles as well, and I do think this could be a sleeper for a match of the night contender. And you mentioned about Logan Paul being so hated. If you go to like WWE World this weekend in Las Vegas, they actually have an exhibit there to where you can take a chair and hit like I don't know how to describe it, but like, like a chair, and like you can hit a Logan Paul like replica, like dummy or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're really cashing on how people hate Logan Paul, but and you have to give him his due because the man is very talented. You have to give him his due. So I do think AJ is going to pull this off this year and be the winner of the match. So I'm going to pick AJ Styles with you as well. Now let's go to the Sin City Street fight that is between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. So kind of a WrestleMania rematch in a way from last year, because you had Damian Priest cashing in on Drew after Drew winning the title from Seth Rollins last year on night 2. So what's your thoughts on this match and why?
I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. If you want to get technical about it, because he lost to Damian Priest last year, lost the title, kind of make up for that. They're going to, in my opinion, have Drew go over. But I think Drew deserves it, honestly, this win this year. I think it's going to be a good match. I can see this going all over the stadium, which would be fun to watch. And I'm sure the people in attendance, it's going to be fun for them to witness that. But yeah, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre for this one.
Okay, good pick. I'm going to go with Drew as well, just for the simple fact he has had a great year since last WrestleMania and everything that he's done. And like you mentioned, Damian throughout the year has had his number when they faced off with each other. So I do feel like Drew is going to win and set him up to propel himself to get in that main event scene and get back toward maybe either the WWE title or the world title. So, I could definitely see Drew winning this. And obviously with him re-signing, Rock is very high on him. And obviously we know the influence that The Rock wields in WWE with being on the TKO board. So I feel that Drew is going to win this one as well. And I'm glad that they made it a Sin City Street fight, because a lot of people were saying this was just going to be a throwaway, a nothing match. So them adding some step to it or stipulation, and I think helped increase the intrigue of it. So I'm looking forward to that match as well. But like I said, I'm going to pick Drew. How about we go to the women's tag team title match, which is Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria.
I'm going to be honest with you. I said I was looking forward to every single match on this card both nights. I'm not going to lie. This may be the bathroom break for me, Robert. I'm sorry. But I'm going to have to go with Liv and Raquel. Is that her name?
Yeah, it's Liv and Raquel, yeah.
That shows you how uninterested I am. I'm sorry. Not to take away from their great talents and everything.
How are you uninterested in a bunch of hot women, bro?
Where's Nia Jax? Oh, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts on this one, Robert.
I'm saying Liv and Raquel are going to retain, because I think we're going to see probably an implosion from Bayley and Lyra. That seems to be the status quo that they tell the will they or won't they break up thing, to have someone turn on another person in the tag match. Plus, Liv and Raquel have not been champions very long. And if you listen to the last podcast, I hate when they switch the belts off someone who barely got them and just treat them as a transitional champion. So I'm really thinking that we're going to see Liv and Raquel keep the tag titles also. But I am kind of looking forward to it, but it's not as important of a match as the others we have on the card. But
just a quick question, Robert, not to throw you off. Do you think they added these in just to get everybody? I know we probably discuss this every year, but do you think sometimes they just throw these matches in just to try to get everybody in on the roster on the card? Do you think they deserve this match on the card, or do you think we just needed to add somebody else into the mix?
Well, I think I can agree with your sentiment of them adding people just to get everybody on the card. And like Chris and me have had this discussion throughout the years. He feels like everyone deserves, I think, to be on Mania. So, and plus, it gives more value to the WrestleMania, especially if you're doing 2 nights. He believes that you should have all the titles on there. So, it's sad that we're not getting a Lyra defense and even possibly a Chelsea defense, but it's good to get people on the show and on the card. So, I do feel they just added this to get people on the card, that they could have probably did this on a SmackDown or something, but it's good that they're getting a WrestleMania payday. I'm not going to hate on anybody getting a WrestleMania match and a payday, but it does feel like it's maybe not living up to the lofty standards of a WrestleMania match, but Liv and Raquel winning. So let's move on to the Intercontinental Championship match. It's Braun Breaker, Dominic Mysterio, Penta, and Finn Balor. Who's your pick for this one and why?
Okay, so if AJ and Logan Paul don't live up to match of the night, this one is going to take the cake. It's right here. Oh man, let me think about that. I'm going to say that Braun retains the Intercontinental Championship, but this is going to be an amazing match. That's all I can say. I'm really looking forward to this. Night 2 is so... Night 1's good too, but Night 2, I'm really looking forward, with the exception, I'm sorry, the Liv and Bayley match, the tag match. But every match, I'm going to be just glued to the TV. It's fun to interact with friends, but everybody better shut up during this match because I'm going to be looking forward to it, Robert. But I'm going to say Braun retains.
Okay. I could very well see Braun retaining or one of the Judgment Day members winning it, whether it be Finn or Dominic, just for the simple fact of you have two members of the same faction vying over it, and you really have the story of like Finn is wanting to go after the Intercontinental title, and it's almost like he's jealous or upset that Dom got it added to the match because it feels like it's going to take away from him being the Intercontinental Champion. And kind of like the story or what's supposed to be behind the Judgment Day is like no matter who the champion is that it's in the group. And I think Finn really doesn't share that ideology. So it's going to be interesting to see if we see an implosion of the Judgment Day a little bit in this match. But yeah, I can agree. It can be a great match. Yeah, Penta gets to experience his first WrestleMania. He gets to be on the big stage. I mean, he's been at All In, I believe. I'd have to go back and remember right quick. But him getting to experience a WrestleMania, I think it's going to have maybe a different feel and vibe to him. So, but I am going to say Braun retaining on this just for the simple fact of I think maybe they're going to go somewhere else with Braun, but I won't be surprised if a Judgment Day member gets the Intercontinental title. Okay, let's go to the women's match, and it's the WWE Women's World title. It's Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. So who you got for this one and why?
Before I get to that, Robert, I just want to touch back on Braun because we seen an incredible spear a couple of weeks ago to Carlito. And then this last week, I believe it was, he did a two-person spear. I think he's going to do all three in the triple and the four-way match. Anyway, so the women's triple threat, I think Bianca is going to win the match. Not necessarily my favorite pick, but I think I can see Bianca turning heel either at WrestleMania or the night after WrestleMania. You know, that always like big surprises or here soon. I still think she has something to do with Naomi and Jade. That whole storyline, I think she's still behind it all. I could be wrong. And I think Bianca could be a great heel, but I think she's going to win the title.
I'm not going to discredit that theory. I could very well see that happening and having Bianca winning the title, but with Io just getting the title like a month ago, I'm praying they're not making her a transitional champion. Like I've said, I hate when that happens. So I'm thinking Io's going to keep the championship because last year, she came in as champion and lost it to Bayley, which was the right call because Bayley had the momentum moving forward. She had found a damage control. She had been exiled from the group. So for her to get her revenge and that feel-good story at the end, you had to have Bayley win. This year, I think you have to let Io Sky win just for the simple fact she has so felt like the third wheel in this. It's been a Rhea and Bianca feud with Io just involved in it. It's kind of like a lot of people would say The Miz was a third wheel in his own match when you had Cena Rock back at WrestleMania 27. It's kind of been reminiscent of that, if I can use that comparison. So, I mean, it's felt like Io's so been the third wheel. So, I'm going to go with Io retaining, but it wouldn't surprise me if Bianca Belair did win the championship off of her. Now, we're getting to the big one, Kevin. The undisputed WWE Championship match with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, the main event of night 2. So what's your thoughts on this and why? Now, you and me did a podcast discussing Cena's heel turn. So if they want to hear more about our thoughts, go check that out. So what's your thoughts on this match and why, Kev?
I'm really looking forward to this. I know you and I discussed recently, Robert, that I felt that the first couple of in-ring promos from John Cena, looking back on it now, hindsight being 2020, I understand he had to tell his story. And I felt like his first couple of promos overseas were kind of watered down. But then, as time progressed, it got heated. with Cody. And it really wasn't so much against John Cena, like I mentioned a few weeks ago on your podcast, Robert, that it was more Cody, how he presented himself. I mean, he just got the beatdown of a lifetime in Elimination Chamber, got kicked low blow and insulted by The Rock and Travis Scott and John Cena. And then Cody's coming out doing his, in a suit and tie and doing his whole shtick like nothing ever happened, really. So, not to hate on Cody, because I love Cody, but I don't know. He should have came in and just started attacking John Cena right away. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this. This is a huge main event. Never in my wildest dreams thought John Cena would turn heel, especially on his last run. Okay, here's my prediction. I think John Cena is going to win, 17-time world champion. I think The Rock and Stone Cold will be involved somehow, some way. The Rock has been completely silent unless they announce it as we speak. He's not even due to be on SmackDown or at WrestleMania, but I saw a clip on YouTube, not to be long-winded here, Robert, but I saw a clip on YouTube where a shirt, it says The Rock has finally come back to Las Vegas. So I'm assuming he's going to be here. Nothing's been, set in stone, but I assume that I'm going to go ahead and predict real fast that similar to last year's fashion at the near the end of the match, Rock comes out, then Stone Cold instead of what, should have been last year, but it was The Undertaker. Those two go at it, but somehow John Cena wins. He wins the title, but then John turns on The Rock to finish it off. I know that sounds crazy. That's wild. Why not? Maybe he saves it for Raw. But The Rock recently tweeted he loved being a good guy, playing the good guy. And that completely threw me off. What's he mean by that? I think he is foreshadowing. He's playing mind games with us, Robert, and I think he's foreshadowing things that's going to come. And I think John, you would think if John lost, then he would turn on The Rock and blame him. But I think just to dig it in deeper, he's going to turn on The Rock. But anyway, I see John winning, 17-time world champion.
Okay, I am of the same opinion that I really feel that John Cena is going to win the title and break Flair's record and be the 17-time champion. Now, him turning on The Rock, I don't really see it going down that way. I think if they are going to let Cena win the title, he's going to remain heel at least near the end of the year, and maybe around Survivor Series or right before the end of the year when his career is going to wrap up, we're going to possibly see a face turn. Now, if that happens or not, maybe ask me later in the year, and I'll come back and say maybe I'm eating crow here, or maybe like, haha, I was right. So that remains to be seen if he turns heel or turns back face. Because like you mentioned and earlier, I never thought we would see John Cena go heel again because it's something we've been asking for the longest time. And I feel with the transition of power from Triple H, from McMahon to Triple H, is what has allowed John Cena to turn heel. Plus a established good guy in Cody being able to take Cena's spot to where he could be allowed to turn heel, I think is what played a lot into him turning heel. But I really am worried that they're going to let Cena break the record of Ric Flair and go 17 times.
That's a question I have for you, Robert, because you just said you're worried about it, because I know you're not the world's biggest Cena fan by any means. You predicted that he wins, but do you want John Cena to win? Do you think he deserves it? Do you think it's a good move going forward?
I mean, I'm glad he's turned back heel because, I'm like a lot of the fans. John Cena has seemed to, and he even addressed this in his promo, bury talent. And he said that he didn't bury talent, he buried mediocrity. So, I mean, for the longest time, I was not a John Cena fan. Like, when he first started and he was heel, John Cena fan. He even turned his face turn when he did, I believe, 2003 Survivor Series when he didn't join Team Brock at Survivor Series. Still a John Cena fan. I was happy at WrestleMania 20 when he beat Big Show to win the title. Even a year later when he became WWE champion, I was still on board with him. But then there was just, I guess, something like he kept winning or whatever. I don't know really when I made the switch. I didn't become a John Cena fan. I just got sick of him at some point. And it wasn't until probably about 2015 where we kind of, I guess, had a break or the U.S. Open Challenge after he beat Rusev. I really started liking John Cena again. And like when him taking time off and then coming back, I stopped hating really on John Cena. So I've been a John Cena fan, I guess, here for the last few years, but I'm glad he turned heel because I think he really did need that because we would have been left with the what if. But I'm going to predict that he becomes 17-time champion. I may not like it because I don't want Ric Flair's record ever to be broken, but Records are made to be broken, like I talked last segment with Demolition and them being the longest tag champ. Record got broken and then got broken again. Records are made to be broken. So sometimes it just happens, whether we like it or not. But I'm predicting John Cena wins and becomes 17-time champion. But that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's special WrestleMania Sunday episode of the podcast. Don't forget to check it out on Spotify, YouTube podcasts, or wherever you enjoy listening to your favorite podcast. Also, you can support the show on Patreon, where you can gain ad-free along with early access to the podcast. Also, you can follow us on social media. Kev, let them know where they can find you and get...
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Big Beast Mode Kev. And Robert, I just got to say this. First of all, again, thank you for having me on the show today. It's a pleasure. It is so fun to just talk about pro wrestling. And that's what's so great about the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast, folks. If you haven't already, make sure and subscribe, like, comment. We want to know your thoughts. This episode right here, we want to know what you think. If you had a completely different opinion than us, comment. If you thought I was insane by what I said about anything today, let us know. We just want to be interactive and let us know your thoughts. And that's what's so great about the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast, Robert, is we can discuss pro wrestling and have fun with it. And everybody going to watch WrestleMania this weekend, just have fun with it. Don't nitpick everything. Just have fun. It comes once a year. It's like Christmas to us. It's our Super Bowl. Come on. Let's just have a good weekend. It's WrestleMania.
Yes. And they can find me, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, Robert Lira Jr., YouTube, Robert Lira Jr. So, I mean, you can find us there. Power Pro Wrestling Podcast, like I mentioned, on Spotify. So that's where they can find me. And if you like today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and comment, and tell us your thoughts on the episode, like Kevin said earlier. We love to hear your thoughts, guys. We love the podcast being interactive and hearing your feedback. See what you guys like and don't like and how we can make the show better. So, like us, subscribe, follow, and comment. But check us out next time on the Power of Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Hey!